All right, Shalom. I want to start by saying, Call HALAL, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kakadash. Double honors to the Apostles of Israel, aka the Apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach the truth and all truth and sincerity. All right, so I came across this article, and this is from CNN. Now, I forget when is this meeting supposed to take place. There is a meeting. Oh, so I guess it's today. Oh, yeah, that's right, since they're a little hours ahead of. So, China, Moab, is holding this meeting, and Putin, president of Russia, is going to be there, and the president of North Korea is going to be there, and the president of Iran is going to be there. President of Serbia, I think they said, or leader of Serbia and leader of Slovakia, whatever the fuck it's called, and a mist of other nations are going to meet for this 2-day summit that's taking place in China on Sunday, which is today. Now, the main reason why they're having this meeting is, for one, military shit, and two, also in regards to all of this trade war and all of this shit going on with the West, aka the West, Europe, and America. So basically what's happening is America's getting pushed out. And that's why I got to title this video. This is actually from the scripture in Jeremiah 51:13 and the NLT. But basically it talks about how the Lord, in that chapter, it talks about how the Lord is going to cut Babylon off and ultimately destroy her. And Babylon, the city of the Chaldeans, represent America now. So I'm going to go into the scripture, but I'm going to go into the article because the fact that these nations are, I guess you will, conspiring against America and making plans to do away with dealing with the dollar, because they talk about de-dollarization. You know, they're basically coming up, and they're thinking of ways to where they don't have to deal with the American dollar and have to be under America's thumb as much as they are now, because America, the U.S. dollar still is the world-renowned or world reserve currency. So they're basically trying to get away from that. So you have all these superpowers. China and Russia alone is bad for America because they're all teaming up against America. And that's why, as this happens with these trade wars and these tariffs, it's going to get closer to the nuclear war and ultimately getting closer to this digital war and the beast system and the mark of the beast. So it's all these things, as far as prophecy goes, it's all taking place simultaneously. All right. So I'm getting to this article. So yeah, it says China Z rolls out the red carpet for Putin and Modi, which is the president of India, as Trump upends global relations. We go into the word upend, it means basically like brings it to an end or turns it upside down. So basically he's fucking it up. So basically saying Trump is fucking up global relations. All right. And Trump represents who? Represents America, which is who? Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, and it's Babylon spoken of in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. So, okay, so we have in Tianjin, China, it says, autocrats, populists, friends, and foes, a straw man waging a war in Europe, and the leader of the world's biggest democracy will be hosted by Chinese leader Xi Jinping this weekend at a summit designed to showcase Beijing as a global leader capable of providing a counterweight to Western institutions, which aka means America, Europe, the EU, NATO, whatever you want to call it, but mainly what? America, man. Because you're going to have NATO and the EU, you're going to have these other Edomite countries turn against the whore, which is America. So that's prophecy. It said the beast shall hate the whore. And the beast being those other Edomite countries, EU, NATO, and all these other countries when they all come together. It says heads of state and delegations from across Asia and the Middle East will meet from Sunday in the Chinese port city of Tianjin for the 2-day summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, a regional security grouping that has emerged as a cornerstone of Xi and Russian President Vladimir Putin's drive to rebalance global power in their favor. Because whose favor is it in now? It's still technically in what? America's favor. But Putin being an Edomite and Moab, and now you got India, which are 3 BRICS nations. And if I'm not mistaken, when I seen the article, it said like 20-something, almost 30 countries are going to be attending this summit. And this summit is taking place right now. It says Chinese officials have billed the summit as the SCO's largest yet, with the diplomacy and pageantry setting the stage for Xi to tout his country as a stable and powerful alternative leader at a time when the world's leading superpower, the United States, under President Trump, is shaking up its alliances and waging a global trade war. Trump, America. So it's mainly towards America, man, because they're gonna get these other NATO countries, other European countries. They're gonna come against America's ultimately is prophecy. But this how the Lord is doing it. He's doing it with what? A trade war, which is what? Money. Which is what? Is that these devils God and also now these other heathens God. It's all about money. All right? And now that's why, since they know that America, the United States is still like the main spot for all that shit. They saying they're all coming together. They're basically putting all their chips in, they're putting their chips in the same basket. And now they're coming against America, so that's why they all have to come together against this great war. And that's how you know how America is the Babylon the Great, because all these countries have to do this to come against one country. All right, but anyway, so I'm read that again. So it says Chinese officials have billed the summit as the SCO's largest yet, with the diplomacy and pageantry setting the stage for Xi to tout his country, which is China, as a stable and powerful alternative leader at a time when the world's leading superpower, the United States, under President Trump, is shaking up its alliances and waging a global trade war. That's why India's going. Because that whole thing with the terrorists, they're saying, and I got another article I'm gonna bring up. There's another thing where it's talking about the countries are stopping postal shipments to the U.S. And that's under what Trump did in July last month with the I forget the de minimis tax, or I forgot how to pronounce it, but it's like de minimis tax, which basically I'm gonna go into it, but like a lot of nations are not feeling, a lot of countries not feeling that. So now the Lord what the Lord is doing is the Lord is having America destroy itself, because all the countries that lived deliciously and got rich, now America's making it hard for them to get rich off of her. And that's what Trump was saying. Trump was saying that these countries have gotten rich off of us. It's now time for the dollars to come back to America, basically. But that's also going to be to America's end, because America, you have to import things from other countries, because ain't nothing shit made here like that. But it's all in us. It's all part of the Lord's show, and all part of how the Lord is going to destroy Babylon the Great from inside out. It says the gathering also comes days ahead of a major military parade in Beijing that will offer a different message, that of China's rapidly developing military might, and draw autocrats like North Korea's Kim Jong-un and Myanmar's Min Aung Hlaing, along Putin and Russia-friendly European leaders, Alexander Vučić of Serbia and Slovakia's Robert Fico. And if I'm not mistaken, Slovakia is part of NATO. So that's also a little bit right there of the beast hating the horde, because they're entertaining the ops. It says the summit also gives Russia's Putin some international spotlight just 2 weeks after his Alaska summit with Trump, and as he continued to ignore the international pressure to end his onslaught in Ukraine. Earlier this week, Russia's forces carried out the second biggest aerial attack since its full-scale invasion of its neighbor. It says Putin, who arrived to a red carpet welcome in Tianjin on Sunday local time, praised the China-Russia partnership ahead of his trip as a stabilizing force for the world. In a written interview for Chinese state news agency Xinhua, he said they were united in our vision of building a just, multipolar world order. That sounds like a new world order. It says an allusion to the two countries' efforts to revise what they see as a U.S.-led world order unfairly stacked against them. So what? They're coming against America. And it's right. This is real. This is today. This ain't some shit that happened already. This is real time. This is happening today. They're like 7-8 hours ahead of us over there in China, if I'm not mistaken. So here we go. So it says SCO members, which include China, Russia, India, Iran, Pakistan, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, preside over vast swaths of global energy reserves and govern some 40% of the global population. So now they got the numbers against America. And now you have Slovakia, which is a NATO country. So I wonder how the NATO countries are going to take too kindly to this. And it says leaders including Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi have arrived in Tianjin, and Xi has been holding a flurry of bilateral meetings with his guests since Saturday, which was yesterday. And this is all what against what the main superpower, America. So all these superpowers, all these big nations, they're now coming against America. And that's what the nation's coming against the whore. Because before the actual nuclear missiles come, and before like the major destruction comes, the Lord is going to have these nations still, and they're talking because of what? The trade wars. And let me go to the scripture real quick. I'm gonna go to this quick precept. What? Yo, this shit, the NLT should be on. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm about to say, what the fuck? Now, we go into Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. I'm going to read other verse, but I'm going to read this quick precept and go back to the article, and then I'm going to go to the other article because it's this major prophecy right here, what these nations are doing, and how they're talking about how we need to be an alternate to America. Because that's ultimately what this is about. Because America has been that golden cup in the Lord's hands. But now the Lord said what? It was a golden cup in the Lord's hands. Now not so much. Now we're meeting the end of Esau's kingdom. And what was the main part of Esau's kingdom? The building up of the Babylon the Great. The whore. This was Esau's main headquarters to where he like got his wickedness off, man. But so this is the book of Jeremiah chapter 51 verse 1, and I'm going to jump down. So it says, thus saith the Lord, YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. Now ultimately that destroying wind is going to be what? The nukes. So you have right now these nations gathering nuclear arms, gathering nuclear submarines, and getting ready for a nuclear war. And it's ultimately going to be the war to end all wars. But before that happens, there's going to be a lot of other destruction. There's going to be a lot of other fallings, if you will, to America and Esau's kingdom. I'm going to jump down to verse 5, but the point I want to bring out is in verse 13, I believe. Now, if I'm going to read verse 13 first, I'm going to read the King James and the NLT. So this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 13, and it reads, O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thy end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Babylon in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, talk about America, because America is that city with abundant in treasures. Now I'm going to read the NLT. So this is the Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 13 in the NLT. It says, you are a city by a great river, a great center of commerce. And what does commerce mean? Basically like business. A great center of business. And all these other nations were made rich off of America. But now what Trump is doing, he's trying to hinder that and saying that these nations, everybody's been getting rich off of America, and it's now time to stop and bring the riches back to America. But that's going to be to the destruction of America, because how you going to do that? Even with the whole shit with the immigrants, look how much that fucked up U.S. farmers. You got businesses closing left and right, and ultimately you have this all digitalization, this AI, automated shit happening. That's also destroying America, destroying jobs. So what are you talking about as far as building America back up? And then he did some speech yesterday talking about blue-collar jobs, or basically talking about how much success they're having. But look what these other nations are doing in the meantime. These other nations are plotting major things against America, and this is America. It's not what it once was, because now these countries feel that America is weak. And now that's why they all gather. You don't hear America, you don't see a bunch of, even the EU and NATO countries, you don't see a bunch of them coming to America talking about how we need to do this against Russia and against the BRICS. Yeah, they talk about the Ukraine, but they also talk about how they can find a way to get all this shit back peaceful. But there is going to be no peace. The Lord is mustering the host of the battle. So no matter how much you countries and how much all you other people don't want this war to happen, this is going to take place. They're going to use those nukes. They're going to usher in the MOTB. They're going to bring out the Michael Seib. They're going to stop the major use of cash. They're going to do all those things that the prophecy spoke of. They're already doing it. The prophecies are already speaking. The end is already speaking. It's just going to speak louder and louder as the days go on. So yeah, this is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 13 in the NLT. It says, and this is where I got the title of the video. It says, you are a great city by a great river, a great center of commerce, but your end has come. The thread of your life is cut. The Lord said, well, but your end has come. And that's talking about America. The end of America has come. So no matter how much you want shit to be better and how much you want shit to, no, it's not gonna go back. The Lord said this is a scheduled program. So the things happening, and the Lord said from here on out, it's gonna get worse. And I'm gonna go back to Jeremiah the 51st chapter, but I'm gonna go back to this article and then bring up this other article, and then go back to Jeremiah the 51st chapter, and Lord willing to be edifying, because when I seen that other article, I was like, oh shit, that's heavy too. It says, the guests at the summit have national rivalries between them and vast differences in political system. Hey, that's India and Pakistan, and they're not exactly chummy, but they're all coming to the meeting because at the end of the day, they're all trying to find a way so they can all be good. But you still have what? You still have Edomites in the mix, because Putin, even though Putin serves a major purpose against America, he's still an Edomite. So he's still under the mind that Esau's going to encounter now. It's not going to be as bad as America, but when YAHAWASHI comes back and puts righteous order on the earth, Putin ain't gonna be able to call those shots. Ain't gonna be none of these summits that they having right now. It's gonna be one law and order. That's gonna be under the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. And that's when YAHAWASHI come back, all the other kings of the earth gonna bow to him. Like in the time of Solomon, when he's like, all the kings of the earth came to hear his wisdom. Well, it's gonna be a gazillion times and infinite times better. And the Lord is going to give what? The Israelites, the people that been getting shitted on by these Edomites, he's going to give them eternal power, immortality, spiritual powers, superhuman strength. And most importantly, the law, statutes, commandments in our inward parts, which the other nations are not going to get. That's the blessing. That's the promise to Jacob. And it's going to take place on this very earth that we're on right now. But yeah, it says, while this has sparked criticism of the group as too disparate to be effective, it also may serve to underscore Z's message. It says Beijing wants to signal that China is the indispensable convener in Eurasia, capable of seeing rivals at the same table and translating great power competition into managed interpeting. And that's the same thing what America's saying they be doing. Where Trump talking about, oh, I'm the peacemaker. But China talking about they're gonna be the ones to get people to get back cool. Because it said India and Pakistan is there. And India and Pakistan are definitely enemies, but it's still they're all Elamites, but they're actually they have beef. All right. It says Saad Rabia Akhtar, director of the Center for Security, Strategy and Policy Research at the University of Lahore in Pakistan. See, Pakistan. It said the optics are straightforward. China is not just a participant in regional order making; it is a primary architect and host. Mondi's attendance at the gathering also adds heft to X's guest list. The Indian Prime Minister skipped last year's summit in Kazakhstan. Now he has arrived and what just happened with India in America? The whole shit with the tariffs. Excuse me. It said now he has arrived in Tianjin against a backdrop of soaring relations with Washington. And as Beijing and New Delhi have moved to ease their own frictions, a nascent realignment that could imperil U.S. efforts. Empower U.S. efforts to cultivate India as a counterweight against a rising China. See? But they're leaning towards more with China. Because the whole shit Trump did with the tariffs in India, that kind of pushed India away. He said it. And that's what the Chinese president said. He said that America under Trump is upending a global relationship, which means what? He's turning them upside down. He's fucking them up. And that's all the doing of Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. He's what? The cruel Lord. And it's all, he said what? His own tongue shall come against them. So all the shit Trump is doing, talking about, yeah, do this, it's going to make America great for this, it's going to make America better for this, it's really fucking it up. It says delegations are also expected from the SCO 16 official partner and observer countries, which include Cambodia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Qatar, and Kuwait, as well as NATO member Turkey, among others, Chinese officials said ahead of the gathering. So another NATO country, as well as NATO members. So that's two NATO countries, Turkey and Slovakia. So that's already a little bit of the beast going to hate the whore. Revelation what? 17th chapter? That beast? The EU, NATO, and all of them, all these European countries, other Edomite countries, and then the whore, which is what? America. Because they're not feeling how America is going about things, man. Even their Edomite counterparts. It says Beijing additionally invited a handful of Southeast Asian leaders. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is also expected to attend. It says across the city of Tianjin, banners in English, Russian, and Chinese heralding the gathering line highways. Officials heavily restricted traffic in the center as Chinese leaders welcomed their guests with the ceremony and pomp typical of Chinese diplomacy at the highest level. It said the location has pointed symbolism for China as a port that was forced open by colonial powers in the 19th century, with those from Europe and Imperial Japan receiving land concessions, and a key city occupied by Japan during World War II. So yeah, it goes into a bunch of other stuff, but like that, what the major part of this meeting is what them coming against America and basically making America not be the alternative for the dominant nation in the world. Now there's another one. Oops. Man, if I'm gonna read that scripture again. So being that they're doing all this to come against America, I'm going to read this scripture again. So it's Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 13. It's an NLT. It says, you are a city, it's all about Babylon, which is America. It says, you are a city by a great river, a great center of commerce. But your end has come, and it said, your end has come, the thread of your life is cut. So America is done. Because I believe this is the same scripture where it says Babylon is fallen, it is fallen. No, that's Revelation. I'm bugging. But it says, this is when he said, we would have held Babylon, but she is not. Oh, yeah. It says, but Babylon. Matter of fact, I'm going to read this again. No, I'm going to get the article first. Let me get that. Oops. The fuck? Okay, here we go. Bear with me and cue this up. Nations. Stop. Post. Services to U.S. Then what was that? Newsweek? Yeah. Now, hold on. Let's see what this AI overview says. AI overview is kind of interesting. So this is the AI overview. So this is a nation suspend postal services to the U.S. It says dozens of countries. This AI overview says dozens of countries, including the what? The United. What the fuck? How the fuck United States? That's weird. It says dozens of countries, including the United States, Australia, Japan, India, the United Kingdom, and many European nations, has suspended or restricted postal services to the U.S. due to the ending of the Section 321 de minimis exemption by the Trump administration, which has created confusion and higher costs for low-value shipments. These suspensions are temporary and are in place to allow time for postal services and customs to adjust to the new import rules, which now require customs vetting and potential tariffs on previously duty-free goods. So yeah, so the de minimis, I'm going to look that up, so let me get that article real quick. So now we'll go to this article. This is from Newsweek. This is from August 26th, update on August 28th. So a few days ago. So it says postal service in more than 20 countries have announced the temporary suspension of most parcel shipments to the U.S., citing uncertainty over the effects of a Trump administration policy change, which I believe that's the joint that took place in last month in July. It said that shipments which affect shipments of goods valued under $800 follow a recent executive order signed by U.S. President Donald Trump that will effectively end the de minimis exemption on August 29th. This rule has allowed goods worth less than $800 to enter the U.S. without duties, taxes, or lengthy custom checks since 2016, so almost 10 years. It says why it matters. It says earlier this year, the U.S. eliminated the de minimis exemption for China and Hong Kong, and it is now suspending the policy for all countries as of Friday, which was this past Friday, which was the 29th. It says, according to the Trump administration's executive order, which Trump signed on July 30th, which is approximately a month ago from this article, it said the de minimis practice needed to be eliminated to put an end to the proliferation of shippers worldwide that, among other things, deceptively exploit the de minimis privilege in an effort to evade duties, inspection, and U.S. law. So basically, what is Trump saying? Trump is basically saying that they've been taking advantage and that they've been making too much money off America. That's what he was saying before. All these other nations have been getting rich off of America, and now it's time to stop. That's what he said in his inauguration. It said the U.S. Customs and Border Protection recorded a total of 1.36 billion packages worth 64.6 billion sent last year under the de minimis exemption. According to the White House, this number has inflated since 2015, when it totaled 134 million, and showed that the exemption has been abused by shippers. So what he's basically saying, it's been abused by shippers, the other countries. So they've been how is that quote unquote abusing by shippers, getting them rich and making America poor. But y'all allowed it for almost 10 years. And now the other countries like, yo, all right, since y'all gonna do that, we don't have a response. Everything's gonna be about a response. Response to this, then they'll respond to that. There's gonna be a bunch of reactions. All right, and that's why these and that's part of what they said Trump is upending global relations, because that is gonna fuck their shit up. So now Trump is trying to make America not the delicious whore, making the nation rich that it once was. You think, and that's the Lord doing it. The Lord putting in Trump's mind to do that, and ultimately putting in the elite's mind to tell him to do it. All these elites, Trump, they're all being controlled by our power, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. No other power, no other living God. It says eliminating the exemption means small businesses across the world are scrambling as they face higher costs. In response, foreign postal services have suspended shipments to the U.S., saying the new guidelines are unclear. As of August 26th, the national postal services of these countries have announced the suspension of shipments to the U.S. of goods valued under $800. And I'm pretty sure that was a lot of those goods were valued under $800. All that Temu shit, whatever the fuck, all Amazon, all that shit, man. So it says Australia, Austria, Belgium, Czech Republic, Denmark, France, Germany, India, Italy, Japan, these are allies too, New Zealand, Norway, Russia, Singapore, South Korea, Sweden, Switzerland, Spain, Taiwan, Thailand, and the United Kingdom. So that's how many? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So that's 21 countries that is right now suspended U.S. Postal Service of things under $800 to America, which is probably a bulk of a lot. That's a lot. It says letters, documents, and gifts worth less than $800 are still being delivered to the U.S. But it says, It says, oh shit. It says Australia Post suspended the shipment of most parcels to the U.S. on Monday, with the exception of letters, documents, and gifts worth less than $150. Gary Starr, the company's executive, said in a statement that Australia Post is disappointed to have to take this action. So now the nations are mad. They're actually mad. Now they're mad because Trump is making it not so delicious anymore. And that's basically the Lord closing down. The Lord is about to shut down America. Babylon is fallen. It is fallen. And here it is. It's falling. And Trump making the people think that he's making it get better. People understand that America needs these other countries, and these other countries need America. So it's gonna be when you there's basically soil relations. That's what the president of China said. Is that as America upends, which is basically turning upside down global relations. This is fucking up global relations. All these tariffs, all these trade wars are gonna fuck up global relations to where they're gonna go to war. Actual war, nuclear war. That's why they're all preparing for it. They're all trying to be so diplomatic and like we could make a deal and this, that, and third, but shit ain't going nowhere. Shit is not going nowhere. America seems to stand on what they want to stand on. These other nations, they're counterattacking this shit. Let's go to the scripture. Oops. Fuck. Wrong button. Yeah, I'm gonna read this in the NLT. So this is Jeremiah chapter 51. And I'm gonna start the topic, and it says, "This is what the Lord says: I will stir up a destroyer against Babylon and the people of Babylonia," which that's America. It says, verse 2, "Foreigners will come and winnow her, blowing her away as chaff. They will come from every side to rise against her in her day of trouble." And America is in a day of trouble right now. America is not in a good case. And this is the beginning of sorrows. It's going to get worse. Because as soon as all this shit starts to marinate, as the price is going to rise and shit, all this shit is going to make America get even in more trouble. And then ultimately, what's going to happen? They're going to usher in a new system. And that's why he said he calls them all. He calls them all. So everybody's going to have to get in line because they're still going to make money off America. So now what they're going to do is they're going to have all these summits, they're going to have all these talks, and then ultimately they're going to be what? They're going to come to a one world currency or digital currency. And that's how they're going to seem to be at okay. But anyway, verse 3, it says, "Don't let the archers put on their armor or draw their bows. Don't spare even her best soldiers. Let her army be completely destroyed." That's America. Let her army be completely destroyed. And that's what's going to happen too. These army motherfuckers gonna start military. They already getting deployed, and you're gonna get more deployed. I know a brother out of labor where his people is in the military, and they might get deployed to the Pacific region, man, because it's getting hot. Things are getting tense, and it's not some shit that's gonna go away. Only way when this goes away is gonna be when the nukes come. So before the nukes come, it's going to be complete fucked up for America and the world, man. All these the Lord said the day of the Lord is upon all the heathen, man. Look what he's doing to Ishmael over there in our land, over there in Palestine. Look what he's doing to them. Men, women, and children, man, getting blown up left and right, starved out. That's the Lord. That's the workers of the Lord. Where is Allah to save them? That's the question. Where's your gods to save those people? If those people over there, it's mostly Islam, Muslims. Where's Allah to deliver those Palestinian people from the hands of these fucking small hats? He ain't saying that they bombing the shit out of them. But anyway, it's about Babylon. It says, verse 4 of Jeremiah 51 in the NLT, it says, "They will fall dead in the land of the Babylonians, slashed to death in her streets." Verse 5 says, "For the Lord of heaven's armies has not abandoned Israel and Judah," which is what? True people. Which means what? They're in Babylon. And just because them small ass move over, that's not talking about them. It's about the ones that serve captivity. Those small ass ain't serve no captivity in Babylon the Great. It said that the Lord was going to deliver his people out of Babylon the Great. So where the fuck do they fit in with that? They come in, they run shit over here in America. Look what America does for them now. America is the main reason why they ain't get destroyed. But anyway, that's just the Lord preserving these devils, though. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you're going to meet your end, Amalek. The Lord said he had war with Amalek from generation to generation. But anyway, this Jeremiah 51:5 says, "For the Lord of heaven's armies has not abandoned Israel and Judah. He is still their God, even though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee from Babylon, save yourselves." And that's what Israel was going off in the land of Israel, which is how we got rooted out in the first place. And we never went back. So those people over there, those are not the people that got rooted out and then went back. Because you see, it's still no peace over there. So it means that those can't be the Israelites. Because the Lord said what? When the nation of Israel came back to the land of Israel, the nation shall learn war no more. And it was going to get brought back by a divine intervention, the Messiah. Not the Balfour Declaration in 1948. It says, verse 6 says, "Flee from Babylon, save yourselves. Don't get trapped in her punishment. It is the Lord's time for vengeance. He will repay her in full." And that's talking about he's going to repay America. Babylon, the land of Chaldeans that's spoken of in the book of Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, it's talking about America. It's not talking about back, it's talking about right now. This is the time where this prophecy is about to take place. A prophecy that was written in the Old Testament. We were talking about, that's the Old Testament. You have some prophecies in the Old Testament that didn't take place yet. The prophets in the Old Testament saw things for future times. And the New Testament was a lot about bringing Israel to repentance. A lot of times in the Old Testament, it was about a lot of prophecies to take place that's going to take place now. New Testament got it too, because you got in the Revelation talks about Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, that whore, the same whore, and Isaiah the 47th chapter, and This chapter, 50th chapter of Jeremiah, it said, don't get trapped in her punishment. And go to show how the Lord's not going to save everybody. They don't tell you that in the churches. You'll never hear Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, read by your pork chop pastors on Sundays. Either Mike or Jake. Or whatever the fuck they are. They ain't going to read these scriptures. Verse 7, it says, Babylon has been a gold cup in the Lord's hands, a cup that made the whole earth drunk. The nation drank Babylon's wine, and it drove them all mad, because what, they all got made rich. But now Trump is trying to cut that off. But that's ultimate. That's the Lord having him cut it off. And he's cutting Babylon off. And now the nations are mad. They're actually mad. But before they were drunk off of the richnesses and the deliciousness of them getting rich off of America. Which in part why they so mad. That's why they're mad about all these tariffs and all these things with the trade wars. Shalom, shalom. Yeah, man. Pork chop pastors. This is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 8 in the NLT. It says, but suddenly Babylon too has fallen. Weep for her, give her medicine. Perhaps she can yet be healed. Perhaps, or perhaps not. Let's go on. Verse 9. It says, we would have helped her if we could, but nothing can save her now. But nothing can save her now. That her is talking about America. I'm about to say Israel. That her is talking about America. The United States of America. Is Babylon the Great in the Bible. You see that? Just know that America is Babylon the Great, daughter of Babylon. Anything aside from Babylon, the actual ancient Babylon time, it's about now. It says, let her go, abandon her, return now to your own land, for her punishment reaches to the heavens. It is so great, it cannot be measured. That's going to be that fire that come over here, man. That's what the Lord is preparing all the nations now. Trade wars and military wars. It's all going to coincide together. It says, verse 10, it says, the Lord has vindicated us. Come, let us announce in Jerusalem everything the Lord our God has done. And that's what the prophets are doing now. The Lord has woken up the Israelites in Babylon the Great, in the daughter of Babylon, and now we're prophesying against it. And now the Lord is working against it. Now these prophecies are speaking. Now the end is speaking. Now it's curtains for this place. And it said what? In the previous verse it said, but nothing can save her now. Nothing can save her. So all that make America great again, we're going to overcome. You ain't going to overcome shit. It's only been getting worse since the last 5 years. And this next 4 years, wherever, if this nigga Trump dies or whatever happens, for the next few years, it's going to be very, very bumpy. Because they're getting a new system, but also they're having all this just friction with the whole earth. And that's what the Lord said. What? Now it says her end has come. You were a great center for commerce, but now your end has come. Yeah, the nations were made rich. They were made, and that's them lamenting now. Because now they crying like, yo, why is he putting these tariffs? Now we got to do this. Now they're all having summits. That's these nations crying. But they really going to lament and cry once this place is completely iced. And fire. No pun intended. This is verse Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 11. It says, sharpen the arrows, lift up the shields, for the Lord has inspired the king of the Medes, which represent the Russians now, to march against Babylon and destroy her. That's why Russia is the main cavalier to with the nations coming against America, Russia and China, and along with China. But it's always Russia. Everybody goes to Russia. It says to march against Babylon and destroy her. This is the vengeance against those who desecrated his temple. What? His people. Remember the Lord said, what? They've taken my heritage and defiled it. You got Esau up in the land now, especially Amalek of all people. Amalek, the one who the Lord said he going to blot from under heaven, man. They're in our land right now, defiling it, being a bunch of wicked pieces of shit. And over here, oppressing our people. Because they come over here and they get all the fair treatment. They get this, that, and the third. So this is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 12 in the NLT. It says, raise the battle flag against Babylon. Reinforce the guard and station the watchman. Prepare an ambush, for the Lord will fulfill all his plans against Babylon. The Lord said he will fulfill all his plans against Babylon, which is America. Babylon the Great. Hey, let's go to something else real quick. I'm going to open another Bible app. Let's go to the book of Isaiah 47. So there's the book of Isaiah chapter 47 verse 1. It says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Now this is Babylon. When it talks about Babylon in some instances where it says like, okay, I believe in Jeremiah 51, it says that we should make desolate, or times where it talks about you're going to make Babylon desolate and not inhabitable. That's not talking about ancient Babylon, because ancient Babylon was inhabited, because ancient Babylon is in modern day Iraq. So that's been it's inhabited as we speak. So it's not talking about ancient Babylon. Okay, so it says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, because Babylon, virgin daughter, it means because America ain't been never attacked. Ain't never been attacked on this soil. They're saying 911, but with that, that was some bullshit. But it says, sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. You ain't going to be no more called tender and delicate. You ain't going to be what you once was. You ain't going to be that free country. You ain't going to be that great nation. You're not going to be that great center of commerce. The Lord said your end has come. There is no throne. And that's right now. There is no throne for America. America is living off fumes now. And soon enough, those shits is going to run out. Your lifelines are going to run out. And the Lord is going to destroy this place. Thus saith Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, because America is Babylon the Great. It is the daughter of Babylon. What else could it be? What other nation, what other time frame is the Lord doing certain prophecy where we had the prophets write about, especially when it comes to MOTB and all the nations coming over here and being made rich? That never happened in history with these other empires. It happened with this place. In the East, so what? For Esau at the end of the world, Jacob's beginning to get that follow. Esau is ruling right now, so Jacob's about to rule next. That's how we know YAHAWASHI is about to come back in this time. I'm going to jump down to verse 3. It says, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. Now all your lies and everything's being exposed about America. They talk about Trump got health issues now. Everything is being exposed about everything that could hurt America is all being exposed as we speak, man. And it's only going to get worse. Lies upon lies that these devils have been pushing for centuries, man. It says, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance and I will not meet thee as a man. That's when YAHAWASHI comes back. I will not meet thee as a man. See, he was on the earth as a man before. He met thee as a man in Esau's kingdom and during the Roman Empire. But this time around, he said, I shall not meet thee as a man. He's going to come back in his heavenly glory, man. Immortal, and give his elect, the remnant that the chosen members, the chosen remnant of Israel on this side that's in the earth right now, immortal bodies. He's going to give them immortality. Give them the reward. The Lord said what? His reward is with him. So y'all continue to do your trade wars, preparing your nuclear war and all that. Get ready, because at the end of the day, when it all said and done, YAHAWASHI gonna come back in the midst of all the nations fighting. And that's the prophecy. That's the coming prophecy. That's what we waiting for, man. And that's the return of our Redeemer, YAHAWASHI, who the world called Jesus Christ, but his name is YAHAWASHI. And that name is going to be, when he comes back, that name is going to be well known forever. As long as and who his people are. Because you're going to see it. The Lord said you should be sanctified in the sight of many nations. They're going to see who the sons of God really are once we get that power. But verse 4 says, as for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, the Holy One of Israel. But the real Israelites, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not the descendants over there of Abraham, Isaac, and Esau. That's who's in the land right now. Holy One of Israel. It says, verse 5 says, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. But that's, the America. For thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms, man. You ain't going to no longer be called the lady of kingdoms. You're not going to be that great city. You're not going to be that, no. The Lord said your end has come, period. And once the end comes, you can't go back to the beginning. You can't go back to what it once was. Time moves on, and your time is up. Just like even when we was up, we had a time where we came to an end, but the Lord said, what? I'm about to build y'all back up and tear these other nations down. And never tear us back down again, because what? He's going to make us perfect under YAHAWASHI. Adam. It's going to go back to the days of old, our first estate. Verse 6, it says, I was wrathful with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thy hand. Thou didst show them no mercy upon the ancient, hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. Thou showed them no mercy. It says, and given them into thy hand. So the Lord allowed these devils to bring us over here in the cargo slave ships and enslave us and have us in captivity and oppress us and all the things that's happening to us right now. The Lord allowed it because what? It was a punishment. Because he said, I was wrathful with my people, which means what? Upset, angry. But now the Lord said, well, it is time now I can hear their prayers. I have a remnant. I have a remnant that I set aside from the beginning. That should not bow their knee down to Baal. That should not take the MOTB. And that's one thing. And that's going to be the major test of faith, man. And that's coming, man. These devils about to bring this whole new shit. And that's going to ultimately be what? The MOTB. So prayer, fasting, all what you need to do. The Day of Atonement is coming tonight. It's time to get right and get more right. Get more right as you can be. Because the Lord ain't gonna take no slack. The Lord is gonna come back and say, who can I find doing? Shall I find faith on earth? You want to be part of the ones where he finds a faith at. Because most people don't have no faith in the Lord, and they don't fear the Lord. Except for who? The remnant and the elect, which is the elect. But continuing on, it says, verse 7, it says, and thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to heart. To thy heart, lay these things to thy heart. Neither did I remember the latter end of it, and that's where we're at right now. The latter end of it. Esau, these Edomites, these so-called white people, these other nations, they don't understand that they're at the end of their being over Israel, over the children of Israel. They don't understand that. That's how the Lord said, well, I was a little sore displeased with my people, but yet you furthered the affliction. Woe to the heathen that are at ease, roughly paraphrasing. The heathen that are at ease. These heathen are at ease, especially here in America, man. They don't think that, they're about to be ruled under the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that's in America and that seed that's scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. They're not thinking that. But when they see Yahawashi, they're going to understand it right then and there like, damn, we're fucked. It says, Isaiah 47:8 says, therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures. And that's what America has been given to pleasures for all this time. America thought they would never go down. Esau thought he would never go down. But they're going down. It said, therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly. And that's America's, man, dwelleth carelessly. That says in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the laws of children. So you think you ain't going to experience no hardships. But here there's nothing but hardships going on in America. You got Americans complaining, but here you got Trump talking about everything. Like, here Trump telling everything is all good. But it's not all good, and it'll never be all good again. It's going to be all bad. Yeah, it's not that crazy. It still seems kind of normal, but it's going to get bad out here. And that's not no fear-mongering. That's just honest truth. It's going to get bad out here. It's going to get violent. It's going to get tricked. Yo, and you got to think, man, anything about soon it's going to be so-called winter. What, it's about to be September, then October, November, December. And it's going to be the end of 2025. And then what's going to become of 2026? The same shit. Just more prophecies unraveling, more prophecies unraveling, more prophecies, more closer to the chip, more closer to all of this. More closer to the destruction. All right. Isaiah chapter 47, verse 9, it says, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, and one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. So all the bullshit you've been putting out here, Esau, with America, it's all about to come to an end. And you regular low-level Edomites that's in America, you're going to feel it's real hard, man. And you 2/3 of our people that want to live here and want to stay here and think this shit is the end-all, be-all, you're going to feel it too. And you're going to feel it worse because this will be the time of Jacob trouble. That's coming too. You think this shit with the whole ICE and deportation, it just getting started. Wait till the devil really say, like, yo, when he really bring this MOTB, man, that's going to be the defining factor, man, if you part of the elect or not, man. That's why the Lord said, what, man? Yo, trust in me. Because obviously we ain't going to be able to buy or sell once he makes this shit official. That's when faith, the super faith will have to come in. And that's when we have to trust in that. That's what we're building now, working our faith, building our faith by doing these shows, prophesying in the name of Yahawah, BAHASHAM, praying, being brotherly, all the things that the Lord said he delights in. It says, verse 10, it says, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. So that, and Donald Trump is a man how they trust in their wickedness. It says, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Because what, you thought you thought you was on a secret tip. You thought you was, nobody saw you. But now the Lord said, what? You're being exposed. All your lies. That's why you're just being outright blatant with shit now. Because now all this whistleblower shit, all these secrets, all this shit with the so-called UFOs, all this shit with all this controversial, scandalous shit, Epstein files. You're just being exposed. You're being exposed for what you really are and for your wickedness. All right? It says, thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. So you've been so puffed up that you think you the Almighty. You think you him. You think you the Heavenly Father, your earthly self, man. And you're not even that, yo, and you're such fucked up that you can't even be in the sun, but you talk about you the supreme being on the earth. Have Esau tell it. But the Lord said, what? In your pride I shall bring thee down. Look how these Edomites age. You got Trump here, they talk about Trump got some kind of heart shit going on. They're just fucked. These Edomites looking like hell out here, man. And they still think like they're gonna hold on to the very end. But they don't all these Edomites in the higher up, they're all getting older. So the next batch of Edomites is gonna be what? These little fucking minions? What's the future holding for America and Esau and his kingdom? You gotta look at what's going on now as that's being the future, because what's happening now is like, look, okay, so what you got niggas like Trump is like 79, 80. You got these elites, they're up in their 80s, 90s. Then you want to have a tier of like ones in their 40s, 50s, maybe late 30s. Like the families, like the Rothschild family, like all the elite families, they have to have a younger bunch. But then what are they going to carry out the plan? Because in the midst of all this war shit's still going to happen. You still got the other nations coming against Esau or America especially. So it's all fucked from here on out. No matter what Trump says, how good it seems. They're lying. It says, it's Isaiah chapter 47, verse 11. It says, therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth. And that's what you got these Edomites saying, like, damn, what the hell is going on? They're not understanding, like, yo, you're losing your kingdom. Some of them do understand. You're losing your kingdom. You're losing your hold on the earth. It's a wrap. You got all these other superpowers coming against you. And allies, your allies are going, it said the allies are going, yo, the beast shall hate the whore. That's your allies coming against you, America. But anyways, barefoot. These fucking heathens. But anyway, it says, it says, and mission shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off. Oh, thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Let's see what that's saying in NLT. Isaiah 47 and 11. A bunch of heathen now looking at. Anyway, Isaiah chapter 47, verse 11 in NLT. It says, so disaster will overtake you. Now, aside from all that, remember all these storms that's been happening? All the storms that hit a lot of the Edomite sundown towns? Major destruction? In the Midwest, these tornadoes, these hurricanes. You had some in South Carolina. It's a bunch of shit happening, man. So this is Isaiah 47:11 in NLT. It says, so disaster will overtake you, and you won't be able to charm it away. You won't be able to charm it away. Calamity will fall upon you, and you won't be able to buy your way out. You want your money, your riches profit not in the day of wrath. You ain't gonna be able to give your and they don't want your dollars now. The world don't even want your dollars now. The world is trying to de-dollarize the world to make American dollar, not the U.S., not the world-renowned currency, not the currency reserve, not the petrodollar. They're trying to flay away from the dollar, man. And they have enough country, they have enough superpowers along part of the mission to do it. Why did they mean over there right now? But anyway, it says you won't be able to buy your way out. A catastrophe will strike you suddenly, one for which you are not prepared. And that's what's going to happen to America. And that's ultimately going to be this nuclear destruction. It said a sudden destruction will come upon you, which you are not prepared for, basically. And that's how these Edomites are feeling. And they're going to continue to feel like this more and more and more until they're no more. But that's the judgment to come to Babylon the Great. Babylon has fallen is America, man. You go back, was it 2025? So you go back to 1825 and 1725, it was not the same ball game. Now, so the prosperity of the wicked was short. The triumph of the wicked was short for a short time. And now the time is up. The Lord said, "What your end has come." No longer we be called. No longer we be the lady of kingdoms. No longer we be considered tender and delicate. It's over for you. Now you're exposed. You're nothing but a filthy whore. That's it. So, with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm going to give all praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, KAKADASH. Double honor to the apostles of Israel, a.k.a. the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach the truth and all truth and sincerity. Shalom to those brothers watching. Shalom, shalom, peace and love. Hey, we almost out of here. Stay strong.